In America, the story you hear is rarely the story that's true. On the airwaves, on the feeds, in the mouths of bought and paid for actors, the same script is whispered like gospel. E-bikes are chaos, danger, a rebellion gone wrong. It's a machine smeared with lies, weaponized by those who fear what they cannot control. A fake resistance, stitched together with Hollywood faces and hollow outrage, pushing fear as if it were fact. But beneath that noise, a different current surges. A true resistance, riders, builders, enthusiasts who breathe power and performance into steel and lithium, who know that freedom doesn't ask for permission. These machines are not symbols of fear, but of independence, a way for the average American to break chains. No insurance leeches, no fossil fuel chokehold, no registration paper stamped with control. Just the hum of raw power, the wind on your face, and a middle finger raised high to the system, the thought it could tame them.
What's up, everybody? Yesterday was fun, man. I don't care who you were. Yeah, I was wasting some tires. It was fun. I had a good time, man. Hope you guys did too. I'm sorry about the last segment. I had some editing problems and I needed to get it out real quick. So I wasn't gonna dick around at all, and I just wanted to get it out to you guys. It was fun to make. I hope you enjoyed my little song before that. If you didn't, sorry. I'll try to keep that to a minimum. But I hope you enjoyed our intro today, our overhead shot with a little spoken behind it. So wrote that for you guys. Thought you guys might enjoy it. If you didn't, tell me you didn't like it. I'll quit doing that shit. All right, so 1 month. I've had this thing for just over a month now. And what do we like about it? What do you don't like about it? So the don't like part is really not a don't like part. I don't like the sheer size and not the size, the weight of the bike. The bike is heavy. It's heavy. But if I had to pick like one negative about the bike that I wish was different, was the weight. But what can we do about weight? Yes, we could make it lighter, but then it wouldn't be as safe. So do you want a light bike or do you want a safe bike? I want a safe bike. A few extra pounds, I'll deal with it. As you can tell by not having a rear rack or a rear battery on it. So there's ways around weight. It's okay. It's not a huge deal. It's not a deal breaker for me, and it shouldn't be for you either. So let's just go over, that's my big negative on the bike. Let's just stay on the negatives while we're on the negatives, because once I get rolling on positives, I don't talk about negatives. Let's bring up the elephant in the room. Everybody's talked about it many times, is brakes. And I'll tell you what, the brakes that are on this are satisfactory. There's a caveat to that. If you ride around average speed, 20 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, I think you'll find these brakes to be more than sufficient. Now, if you go out there and terrorize the streets on this thing, and you're doing the 50s, 60s, and then you're grabbing brake and expecting stuff to work, we gotta do some work. So that's kind of where I'm headed with my build. I think I'm definitely looking towards the brakes now, just because the longer I have the bike, the faster and faster and faster I start riding it. Why? Because I get more comfortable with the bike. When you first get a 160-pound bike, it's not as comfortable as your 100-pound bike. There's extra weight. Feels like somebody else is riding with you, or you got one big old backpack on. But you get used to it after a while. And then if you did happen to shed some weight and you're trying a few things that you didn't in the past, and you got stickier tires than the original ones that came with it, you're pushing the bike a lot harder. What happens when we push a lot harder? The weaker parts start to show up. And I think everybody can agree that on a bike like this, we should do better brakes. Let's do that. I'm sure the ones that will come, I'm sure the Predator 3.0, because this is 2.0, some of you guys didn't know, 3.0 and 4.0, at some point, we're definitely going to get into the brakes. If we keep making these bikes, we're going to have to keep getting into the brakes. lots of ideas that have been floated around. Brian from Citizen Cycle, he hit one of mine right on the head. I had thought about it, and we were talking on the phone, and he's like, what about double brakes in the front? Because we both come from the motorcycle world where we use a lot of front wheel, and it has dual rotors in the front. So it's just a natural progression for us. We thought, maybe that's something. Maybe in the future that could be something. That's where most of your braking's done, is in the front. So that's the thing. Maybe we go there. Maybe we go up to a 6-piston. Maybe we just get a really good 4-piston. There's a lot of options out there, and I'm trying to explore something that's feasible for the masses, not to just go plunk down $1,000, buy the best thing that I can get for $1,000, pop it in it, and I'm sure it's going to work better. But let's be realistic. That's a pretty good percentage. That's more than 25% of the price of the bike. So that's a lot for brakes. So can we get something similar? Almost as good? We'll see. I'm not a big stopping distance freak. I don't expect to do any, I can stop within 100 feet from 40 miles an hour. I'm not going to be your guy for that. And I really think everybody else that does it is a tiny bit ridiculous. I mean, they're not trying to go out there and say that's what's going to happen to you, because I'm sure a lot of you can brake a lot better than the hundreds of people out there doing brake tests on these bikes. Everybody brakes a little bit different. The guys that slide their butts off the seat and get back and don't lock up the wheels, you notice they come in a much shorter range. Those guys have some downhill experience. Those guys have cross-country experience on mountain bikes, motorcycles, things like that. So they bring a little bit to the table where maybe some of the reviewers out there haven't done. I'm not bringing that to you because I'm not expecting you to have any experience. I'm expecting you just to plant here and grab your brakes. And that's kind of where on this channel, we're going to kind of gauge from that. We're not going to say, oh, he's a Red Bull champion, this will work for you, No, it's not going to work. We're just average people trying to be out for an average ride, and we want some decent stopping power from, relatively cool speed. I mean, 30, 40 miles an hour is, I think, relatively cool speed. A lot of places we ride our bikes is, that's the speed limit, 30, 40 miles an hour. If you're riding on 55 mile an hour highways and stuff with these bikes, probably not the best idea unless they're out in the middle of nowhere. But anyway, so over the last month, there's been a lot of things, a million questions. So the negatives would be a little bit towards the brakes. So we covered that. The weight, we covered that. So let's get into now that we've done all the crappy stuff, let's get into where this thing shines. Okay, so the motors are amazing, right? The controllers are amazing. But my main thing, I take my hat off to one thing: battery architecture. I stress tested this main battery, and even not at quite 84 volts, at 79 volts, I believe it was. So someplace between, I started off at about 81 to 79, somewhere right in that range. We hit 7,988. 8,000. Here, you know what? Let's just go to the bike. Let me quote the exact number here for you, because I want to get this right. I don't want to screw this up. Okay, so completely screwed up on that one. So one battery, single front main battery, we got 8,977 watts. So 23 watts short of 9,000 on a battery that had between 81 volts to 79 volts. It was somewhere in that when we got that number, when it posted on that. And I'm thoroughly impressed that one battery can pump out that kind of wattage. That was insane. And on the top of the battery, when you're up there and you're in the 80s and high 70s, it rips. You're going to get better with both the batteries, but one battery, that was amazing. So I'm blown away by the batteries. The batteries are just really cool. They hit all the marks on that. I didn't think this had it in it, but it did. So my number one thing, thumbs up, goes to the 72 volt batteries with the high discharge cells. They did an absolutely flawless job with these, more than I could ever expect. I didn't think they'd have a Pat that hawk come out. The controllers move that energy very well, and the controllers seem to do their job just fine. And what can we say about this new motor in the back here? This big boy it's something else. It's got the grunt, man. It goes. And then our front wheel in here, I know why they picked it. It spins very freely. A lot of the reason we break traction and we get big skid marks, though, is we get all that torque in the back and it wants to lift up the front. And that's why the front wheel, spins as much as it does. So the more weight you can get over the front on your whole shot, you'll start ripping right down. You'll just snatch it and go. I mean, you'll hit 30 in a blink of an eye. So yeah, it's quite impressive. Dual crown forks, I'm loving them. They're great. Do I think that they could be improved? Yeah, I do. There's some stuff that comes into play. Most of the stuff that I found that comes into play is when I'm sitting on it riding this thing like a moped. And then I expect my shocks to really work, like fine tune all the little bumps. And it really doesn't do that. More than the kind of the medium stuff, it works pretty good in there. But where it really kind of shines is I ride out of the saddle pretty much. I'm like up and forward, more aggressive style. So I don't tend to sit back on the back too much unless I'm just mopeding. And then as soon as that comes into effect and I start using my legs as a little bit more of the suspension, then that's when it really kind of shines. That's when this fork kind of talks to me, and I like it. And it works in conjunction with the back really well. So overall, I think it's good, and especially because we got to come in at a price point. We can't just go ahead. Well, we could throw a $3,000 fork on the front, and if you've looked at forks, some really good forks. $3,000 or $5,000 just for a fork. So you can get insane with a fork. So let's keep it real. You're talking about this $350-ish fork, maybe $300, $350, somewhere in that range, somewhere in that ballpark is what that fork costs. So for what it is, for what it costs, I think it's pretty decent. The rear we're used to. I really love the tires that came with it. So the all-terrains, they did a great job. They handled the street, they handled the light dirt, and I didn't see a problem with those. And if I was just going to leave one tire on my bike, it'd be the stock tires they came with. When I took them off and I took the tubes out, immaculate, flawless, everything. The whole inside of the tire was smooth. The inner tubes looked brand new when they came out. And that was, they had like about, around 100 miles on them when I took them off. And flawless. They're great. So nice bulletproof tire. I did switch over to the sticky ones because I really wanted to push it on the road. So, all about my Wanda tires by now if you follow the channel. So I don't have to go over that. And I really love these tires on the road. I'm not taking them off unless I'm going off the road. If I go off road or got a plan to go off, like I'm going to go up the mountain and I'm going to dirt road and gravel it, I'll probably just swap out for the all-terrains for right now. I do have another set of tires coming, so that's going to be a little while from now, probably in a couple of weeks, I think they show. I'm not sure. This is just tires that they said they're going to send me, and it's a different tire company altogether, so we'll see if they come through. They asked if I wanted them, and I'd do a review for them. I said, sure, we'll do that, and we'll try them out and see. We'll see if it happens, though. People say a lot of stuff, and then they don't follow through, but we'll see. But those would be more like my winter tires and my dirt tires and things like that. So it's pretty aggressive knobby and stuff. So there was 3 different ones. I picked one, so I'm supposed to get one of the 3. I don't know how this works. I've never dealt with them before. I didn't even know they existed, but they're an importer directly from China, and they deal with a lot of different manufacturers of companies over there and all different kinds of brand of the same tire. So, hey, send it. I just told them, make sure it's a quality tire. So they assured me that it's quality. So I said, is it at least 5 pounds? They said yes. So, okay. I said, if it's not at least 5 pounds, I'm going to chuck it in the trash. But don't tell them, I'll just give it to you guys. But I'll test it out anyway. Anyway, getting back to it. Front light. How good is this thing? This little light gets it on. I love this little light. This thing is great. This is great, and it's hidden. You know, it's like a hidden little light, man. I mean, it's small. It's like, is there a light on this bike? Oh yeah, there's one right there. But then at nighttime when you get out and ride, it's great, isn't it? I mean, did you think? I don't know. I think it worked pretty well. I was riding it last night and I was having no problem. So the light's great. The wheels on this thing have been really good. No complaints on that. All the spokes seem to be fine. I don't have any spoke failure at all. Nothing's loosened up on me. They've worked really well. So going to the double wall rims, awesome decision. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, programming the display and everything. Very straightforward and very adjustable. There's so many little things you can adjust in here. It's really cool. I'm still kind of playing it. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I did this. And I'm like, oh crap, where's that? So it's mostly in advanced settings. So just to help you out. So you have that. What else we got here? A lot of people complain about their stands. I don't know what people are doing to their stands. I don't know that the new bikes or which bikes are actually having a problem on. It just seems kind of be a thing. I see sporadically. It's not even 10% of the time. It's like 1% at a time, but there's always like one person here or one person there. Sometimes part of it fell off when they were riding or anything like that. Nobody that's told me that they really tightened it down the set screw in the back has had a problem. So definitely check that along with everything else we tell you to check on these bikes. What do we always tell you? Go over the whole bike, check every, nut, bolt, everything. Check everything on the bike before you ride it because, it's your life on the line when you're doing this. These are no joke bikes. So, and you're the mechanic, so you better step up and do it. Or else you can't blame anybody but yourself if something was loose. If you didn't go over it, it's on you. Sorry. Maybe 99% of them got done, but when you buy it, when the bike stores buy it, and they say, well, they buy their bikes from China too. Yeah, they buy a bike from China, but then a mechanic in a bike shop goes over the whole bike and fits it for the customer. They make sure everything's good to go. And when they tune it up first, they give it a little tune up. They have it in their showroom. Then the customer comes in and buys it, and they set it up for height, weight, experience, and stuff that the customer may or may not want. And then they go through the whole thing. That's why when you go buy a bike, sometimes you have to wait up to an hour before it's ready to roll out the door. And if it's done in like 5 minutes, you're going to a bad bike shop. If all they do is adjust your seat and tilt your handlebars, bad bike shop. They should be going through everything. They should make sure all your indexing is correct in the back. They should make sure your brakes are working just fine, everything like that. So that's something to watch out for. Let me wrap it up. This is just going to be a quick one today. Overall, my 1 month experience on this bike has been amazing. I've got probably 150 miles on the bike. I absolutely love the bike. I don't see any major flaws with the bike. I don't see anything that I can't, maybe make a little bit better for a few bucks. And I'm really happy with the bike. And this whole experience of having the front wheel, having a motor in it. I've ridden a few bikes before like that, but they've never been my bikes that I ride every day. But this is my bike with a motor in the front. And I'm getting pretty used to it. And I like it a lot. So if you're on the fence about getting a Predator, if you do, you'll forget that Wired makes any other type of bike out there. Like I've completely forgot. I forgot that they have a Warrior. I forgot that they've had a Scout, a Freedom, and a Cruiser. I got Cruisers, I got Freedoms in the garage. I don't have a Scout and I don't have a Warrior. So I don't know. It was basically, this kind of setup without a front motor, but I end up using that front motor so much. It comes in handy. And I think it's just because it's so much fun. I mean, you can take off with the back and you go pretty good, but that motor in the front, that's a whole cheat code. That's like having a turbo button. You hit that, you put it in the middle in two, and you crank that thing, and you just rip. It just rips. So, I'd say if you can do it, get yourself a Predator and then adjust it to the speed wise you can. If you can't do it, if it's just too big, too cumbersome for you, it's 15 pounds heavier than a Warrior. Warrior they list at 145, Predator they list at 160, 15 pounds. It's big. It's not like it's that much more. So, but you do get a ton more bike just for that little bit more. I'm happy with it. My suggestion, buy it. If you have any experience, unless it's your first bike you've ever had, maybe not. Unless you're a really big individual. If you're 300 pounds and you got some hills you got to go up, I think this is the perfect bike for you, even if you haven't rode, because you can neuter all the settings down until you get used to it. And then as you get more comfortable with the bike, you can start bringing the power up, and then you'll have a bike that's going to be good for a long time. You won't have to switch the bike out every time. You can definitely start here, but if you're a little bit smaller and you could be a little bit intimidated by this bike, and there's no shame in that because this is a pretty intimidating bike. Start with something smaller. Start with a cruiser, and it'll get you used to the size. And then when you get good with a cruiser, you can move up. And you can even just buy a used cruiser and try it out, get a good price for it, and then sell it, and you don't lose any money. And then you can just put that money towards your Predator, or if you decide, I like the cruiser, the Scout looks like the perfect bike. Great. Whatever bike's good for you, that's the bike you should buy. My suggestion to people, if you're about my size, if you're 6 foot-ish and between, 150 and up, so I would suggest this bike for you. I think it's great. I don't think there's that much problem. But you use your judgment. Know this is a very powerful bike, but it can be very well tamed in the display settings, and I think you'll love the bike. Okay, that's it for today. Drop me a line, see what you want to see. There's a lot of things we want to do with the bike, but some of the bigger planned stuff like the brakes is going to be a little ways off. I will be putting the battery back on and be doing some testing. We've done without the back battery on, so now we're going to do some testing with it back on. Probably going to add a few episodes of that, so stay tuned for that. And hey, from there out, stay wired. See you down the road.
Good morning, you spicy little fuck nugget. Rise and fucking grind. Get out there and show the world what a badass motherfucker you are. You only fail when you stop fucking trying. Believe in yourself, and you will be unfucking stoppable. So turn your fucking swagger on. And get it fucking done. Keep spreading the fuckery.